Good evening. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Town of Thompson Planning and Zoning Commission to order. It is Monday, November 27th, 2023 at 7 p.m. here in the Merrill Sinet Community Room at Thompson Town Hall and on Zoom as well. Reminder for anyone addressing the commission this evening under citizens' comments or during the public hearing to state your name and address for the record. Limit your speaking time to 3 minutes unless otherwise directed by the chair, and address all comments to the chair in a civil and respectful manner. I'll now ask everyone to stand as you are able. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We will begin with the roll call and seated alternates. Mr. Hill, we'll begin with you.
Elvin Hill, Mike Krogel,
Ross Robin.
Jane Salsey,
Ryan Santos, John B. Lincoln,
Ryan Kennard, Jason St. Ange,
Randy Blackburn. Mr. Williams,
Ray Williams,
Ms. Orlevac,
Hi, Zora Levac.
okay, so we will seat Mr. Santos for Mr. Rice. And we welcome Mr. Knoyer, Mr. Robin, Mr. St. Ange as they join our commission. Item 4, public hearing, application 23-50, applicant Eastwood Thompson 49 LLC, property owner of 0 Riverside Drive, map 61, block 88, lot 16, zone DMRD, 54.27 acres, request for the construction of a large scale ground mount solar array, zoning regulations, article 14, 275.5. And the public hearing is now open for the applicant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is David Hell, professional engineer and land surveyor with Provost and Rivero. Anybody from the public has a hard time seeing whatever I'm talking about or pointing out, feel free to let me know and I'll do what I can. Make it more visible. So for some of the people that have been on the commission for a number of years, this property was the subject of a special permit application, I believe in 2016, for a small solar array also. That project was never constructed because the current owner was not able to obtain title to the property until last year. So that held up a lot of things. They do now own the property, so we're looking for a special permit approval for a slightly different design, but for another solar array. So the subject property is 54 acres in size. The plan set that you have with your application includes a property survey showing the limits of the property. It has a small amount of frontage here on Floral Avenue, and it also is benefited by an access and utility easement from Riverside Drive and Sweet Village Road up here past the Connecticut Water Company tank site and into the property. We will look at the previous plans. This is an overall site plan showing almost the entire property and a location of the solar array back here in the northwesterly corner in relation to the surrounding areas. So this is Riverside Drive down here. This is the water tank. So we will be accessing the site through this access and utility easement along a crushed stone driveway to the back here where the solar array will be constructed. You can see the clearing limits that we've proposed here, largely around the array itself, and then a small corridor here where the electrical interconnection will be run. So this solar array will be producing renewable energy for the rehabilitation of 962 Riverside Drive here into a number of multifamily units and some ground floor commercial space. That project was also approved back in 2015, 2016, And for a number of reasons, including difficulties with obtaining title for this property, where that previous solar array was approved, that project has been stalled, but we're looking at that will be moving forward expeditiously with this project, because the two kind of tied together from a financial standpoint. Any excess power generated by this that's not used by 962 Riverside Drive will be sold back to the grid as part of a shared clean energy project, which has been selected by the state of Connecticut through a competitive process. But for the most part, the main driver is providing power to 962 Riverside Drive when that project is completed. This project has been approved by the Thompson Inland Wetlands Commission. We do have a small amount of wetland impact. You can see small wetland pockets where the array is sited. Those are basically man-made borrowed holes from some point in the past when somebody needed a little bit of fill for whatever reason, and they dug holes and they reverted to wetland soils. But the filling of those has been approved by the Wetlands Commission, so we're good from that standpoint. If we look at the next two sheets, they are detailed 40 scale site plans showing the array, showing the clearing limits. You can see this is in the DMRD zone, so the setbacks are only 10 feet from the property boundaries. You can see those setback lines here, and we're obviously well within those setback lines. We're at minimum of 100 feet from the property boundaries with our clearing limits, and even further than that with the actual array itself, because we've got to clear a little bit beyond the array to account for shading from the trees. The entire array is going to be surrounded by an 8-foot chain link fence. That's in accordance with your solar zoning regulations. There will be 2 access points to allow entry into the array.
It was just Winnie.
It's a little bit.
Savage Garden. Can't be there.
I like to have fun public hearings. Yeah, so we also have a gate proposed here, just after the property boundary. As you go through that access utility easement from Riverside Drive, we're going to be gating the access right there to secure the site. But there will also be, again, the fence completely surrounding the array and 2 gates to gain access to it. We've got a small parking area here. The size of that is mostly a driver of the construction. There can be a number of vehicles required for construction of this. So we're providing some space for that, but we're going to leave it in place after construction. And I do want to actually spend a little bit of time looking at the last sheet, which is the detail sheet, because we're proposing a ballasted racking system, which is unlike anything I had ever seen before. It's probably unlike anything most people have seen before. We've got the details for it here. Basically, what these things are, they're high density polyethylene plastic, basically recycled milk cartons that are shaped into a tub. They've got little recesses on the top and bottom. The solar panels clip onto this tub. The tub is filled with gravel or crushed stone to provide enough weight so that they're stable. They don't blow around in the wind. They don't slide around on the ground or anything like that. And that's how the array is constructed. So along each row of panels, you lay a bed of crushed stone or gravel so you can do fine grading, level it out. Then you set the tub on that gravel bed, fill it with crushed stone to whatever level you have to get the required wind load resistance. Snap the panels in place and then just make your electrical connections and you're done. So very little ground disturbance. Very little excavation. They are completely recyclable. You don't need heavy equipment to install them. A crew of 2 people can go and install this entire array with a backhoe or a skid steer to dump your leveling pad. You lay these things in place and snap everything together, make your connections, and you're done. So this has a number of benefits to it, not the least of which is the ease of construction and the recyclability afterward. To first site plan, which shows the bulk of the array and the topography in some detail. You'd say this is it's a relatively flat area on the property. One of the lower areas on the property, so this is going to be basically invisible from surrounding properties with the exception of the access driveway coming up through that easement. And that's really only visible from the tank site, so it's not really affecting the visual qualities of the neighborhood in any way. But you'll see the way the topography works, it basically sheds off in each direction for the wetlands. And the way I described this being built, every single row of this array, you basically have a crushed stone check dam that the water has to flow through before it can get to the clearing limits, before it can get to the wetlands, before it can get to anything. And what that means is you have no propensity for erosion, which is usually a concern with the construction of a solar array. You have no concern with high intensity or concentrated runoff, which is usually a concern with a solar array, because you've got these things about 6 or 8 feet on center that all the water has to flow through, which slows it down. So it solves a lot of problems that are typical with a solar array, both from a construction standpoint and a long-term stormwater standpoint. And when this project is decommissioned, again, the ballast tubs are completely recyclable. They're recycled. They're made out of recycled material, and that can be recycled again over and over and over again. They're going to be filled with crushed stone or gravel, which can obviously be reused for some purpose. Restoration of the site is a pretty simple manner. You remove the electrical connections, pick these things up, and you're basically done. Let the grass and vegetation grow, and you've got a stable site. Far different than the decommissioning that might be required if you've got a system where you've got piles driven into the ground or something of that nature. And you've either got to figure out how to cut them off at or below ground level, or somehow pull them out with a machine. Much lower impact than we're looking at with a typical system. So with the specifics on the array design, this is obviously a special permit. Section 275, 5.5 of your regulations outlines specific criteria that any special permit application has to comply with for the commission to be able to grant an approval. And I'd just like to go through those briefly to show how we feel that we comply with those. Letter A of section 5.5, the size and intensity of the proposed use and the impact of such use on neighboring properties. So this is a large scale solar array by your regulations, and that's defined as an array where the footprint, if you're looking from above, for the actual array is 40,000 square feet or greater. We're just above that. So I believe we're about 45,000 square feet, so just over an acre of actual land space for the array itself. So in the rear portion of a 54-acre parcel, I think we certainly comply with that. The total disturbed area for the complete project is under 5 acres. So we don't believe that there is any potential for impact to neighboring properties. As mentioned, this will essentially be invisible to abutting properties with the exception of the access driveway. And again, there's already an access driveway there to get to the water tank. The only thing that's really going to change is that will be extended into this property, and that will only be visible from the tank property itself. Section B, the potential for creation of a nuisance to neighboring properties, whether by noise, air, light, or water pollution, offensive odors, smoke, dust, or vibrations, or other known likely effects of the proposed use. So the only one of those things that may be applicable to this site would be a small amount of noise that might be emitted by the inverters. The solar panels produce direct current power that has to be converted to AC power to be fed into a transformer and ultimately into utility lines. and they do have small cooling fans in them. My guess is at the property line, it will probably be imperceptible. Certainly toward Riverside Drive, it will be imperceptible within the property. And again, light, noise, air pollution, offensive odors, none of that stuff is really applicable to the project. Section C, the safety of vehicular and pedestrian movement relative to the site and the impact of the proposed uses on existing local traffic. This project, as you can imagine, is not a major traffic generator in any sense of the word. There will be a small amount of traffic coming into the site during construction. But again, this is, in the grand scheme of things, a relatively small project. Less than 5 acres of clearing and disturbance. And the construction process, as I noted, is relatively low impact. So we're not talking about large, heavy equipment going in and out of the site on a continual basis to construct this. When it's actually up and operational, the only traffic generated maybe several times a year, somebody's going to go back there and mow and maintain the vegetation. Section D, accessibility for emergency vehicles, police, fire, and emergency transportation vehicles. So the driveway that we're proposing in here is 20 feet wide. It will be surfaced with a crushed stone surface. The slopes are at or below what would be required for a town road. So it's certainly able to accommodate emergency vehicles in the event that something does have to access the site. Section E, the adequacy of proposed methods for disposal of wastes, particularly with regard to any materials that could cause an adverse effect on groundwater or wetlands. When this project is operational, it will not produce any waste whatsoever. The only waste would be a small amount of material waste during the construction period, and that would essentially be cut-offs of wire conductors, cut-offs of plastic PVC conduit when the electrical lines are installed. Things of that nature that are typical of any construction project, which can be disposed of in a dumpster. Section F, the potential for and the adequacy of measures for prevention of surface water and groundwater pollution, soil erosion and sedimentation, increased runoff or changes in groundwater levels. And again, to reiterate, the construction method that we're using with this, I think, prevents all of those potential problems. Again, those ballasted rows essentially create check dams for each row of the panels that slows down the water. It promotes infiltration of the stormwater and prevents any propensity for erosion of the soil. And with the production of no waste, there's no potential for effect on groundwater either. Section G, measures for dealing with runoff and surface pollutants from driveway and parking areas. So as mentioned, the access driveway will be a crushed stone surface rather than a pavement, so there's minimal changes in runoff. It's basically designed to follow the existing ground contour, so we're not changing drainage patterns or anything of that nature. They are located well outside of wetland review areas. They're not draining into water courses. They're not draining into public water supplies or anything of that nature. So I believe we comply with that requirement as well. Section H, the compatibility of the design, layout, and operation of the proposed buildings, structures, or uses with nearby properties and their impacts on the usefulness and value of nearby properties. As mentioned, this will essentially be invisible and we need to develop nearby properties. And I'm coming down here to we're looking at details here. So this is actual manufacturer's information and dimensions. You can see the height on the back of these. This is the ballast boxes themselves is 26 inches. It's 26 inches above ground level. So if you elevate these things on crushed stone or gravel pad, if the panels extend a little bit beyond the edge of the actual plastic tub, you're probably looking at a maximum of about 3 feet above ground level for the array itself. So there's nothing there that's going to be an eyesore or cause any impacts to the usefulness or value of nearby properties. Section I, impacts resulting from the proposed uses and the availability and adequacy of existing fire and police protection, transportation, water or sewage facilities, schools or other public facilities to meet the needs of the proposed uses. So this project does not draw on any of those public services or public resources. So there's no impact there. Section J, the impact of the proposed uses on existing and potential local water supplies and recharge areas. Again, the project does not utilize any water during operation, and we're not creating any wastes which would have a propensity to impact water supplies or recharge areas. Section K, the existence and protection of important natural and historic resources. So this 54-acre property at one time was owned by the same entity as the River Mill, and it was used for various things when the mill was in operation. The area where we're actually proposing the array, as pointed out, you can see them here. There's these 4 little wetland pockets. That's previous disturbance where somebody went in there and dug a hole and took some material for whatever reason to fill a hole or break something off. And right next to this, I believe it's right over in this area here. And there's a old access road into this area. You can see where that area had been previously used for dumping slag here and there from the furnaces in the mill. So this is a historically disturbed area. It was used to support the mill in various ways. So I think it's safe to say that it's devoid of any real cultural resources that would be worth protecting or preserving. So in short, we feel that we meet the special permit criteria in section 275.5 and be happy to take any questions the commission might have.
Any questions for Mr. Held? Yes, Nancy.
How long has this type of setup been used? How long is, because I've never heard of anything like that.
Right, so this particular system, I believe they started manufacturing them maybe 2 years ago.
Okay. And the buckets that are gonna hold the gravel and or stone, how much weight in each one? Because what I'm envisioning, of course, is the wind coming and blowing everything over.
Right, so the manufacturer actually provides the engineering support to figure out what the wind loads are in whatever area you are. And the buckets, for lack of a better word, have graduations built into them. So they basically tell you how far you have to fill it depending on what material you're using.
Okay.
It's maybe like 300 or 400 pounds in each one.
And how much do the panels weigh that are going in each bucket?
The panels themselves, 15 pounds maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, they're very, very light.
You've got Ray on the.
Thank you, Ms. Halsey. Mr. Williams?
Yes, what is the life expectancy of the panels?
So typically these projects are assumed to have a 40-year lifespan. They can operate in perpetuity. That's based on it's a little bit of an assumption, but it's backed up by a lot of empirical evidence at this point that the panels themselves have about a 0.5% decline in production annually. So at the end of 40 years, the production would be about 80% of what it would be at day one. And it's also tied in part to power purchase contracts, which are typically maxed out at 40 years. But when a site like this is built and it's operational, unless there's a higher and better use for the land that would dictate you want to decommission it and take it down, it's probably going to sit there and run as long as it makes sense to run it.
You also have Kai's up there.
Okay, and I got another question is, so out of the that many acres, do you have any plans for the rest of the property while this is running?
Yes, we do, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole talking about what that might be, but you will be seeing it shortly in a separate application.
And and that's already been gone through by yourself as the engineer, that'll work with the solar panels?
Yes, so the other project that we'll be following up with is tied in to coincide with this.
And as panels, they're gonna last well past my lifetime, but Thompson's gonna be here longer than me. Will you be replacing panels in years to come if they go out, that they die in between before that 40 years? Or
The short answer to that is yes. They're designed to be easily replaced. It's basically a modular sort of thing. You unplug one, you put another one in.
yep. But the way you said it was, when it's gonna be decommissioned, I didn't know if you had plans for, 10 years down the road to decommission this to do something different,
So you're right. It's something I want to talk about after we took a few questions here on the actual design itself, but your regulations do have specific requirements for decommissioning and bonding or decommissioning and restoration. I can cover that now if you'd like, or
no, if you have something in place, that we'll just go by what you have lined up. Thank you for the answering them questions.
welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Ms. Orr, and then Mr. Santos.
Sorry, it's Kai. I hope you can hear me. So just a quick question, the taxes, what is the proposed taxes that this will bring in revenue for the town?
I have no idea.
Thank you. Anything else, guys?
Nope, that's all. I just curious as what was, the plan.
Thank you.
Can I give a real answer?
Sure, Mr. Powell.
To answer Ms. Orr's question, we do have a solar array system here in town, and they do generate a lot of tax revenue.
Thank you.
Okay, good to know. That's all. Thanks. I just was wondering.
I'm gonna go to Mr. Santos. and then
Okay,
I think
I
it's-
just, okay.
Is this a direct buy ownership or is it a PPA?
So the power that's going to be going to 962 Riverside Drive, I believe that's a net metering situation. And then there is a separate PPA, I believe, as part of the SCEP program. So the applicant is actually on Zoom and he may be able to provide a little bit more clarification on that.
Because usually the PPAs have a term life of like 25 years or something like that.
They do, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'd like to know the answer to that. PPA or.
Mike, maybe you could speak to that? We're able to?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Sure. Hi, Mike Licamelli. Thanks very much. So the projects are all under 20-year initial power purchase agreements. And so the plan is essentially, since these projects last at least 40 years, granted at lower performance rates, to do the, sorry, I'll clarify the exact type of contract, but to first do the initial program over the first 20 years and then run it as what's called merchant rate for the remaining years where the projects are net metered, and they'll get essentially the wholesale price at the time 20 years from now for that years 21 and on. But for the first 20 years, 962 Riverside is under the residential res program that Eversource is running right now. There's 3 other 250K projects, one of which is another residential piece, and then there's one that is we're still slotting for, and then the last one is what's called the BIOL program under the non-residential program. And so so they each have their own separate type, but it's basically 4 250K separate projects.
Sure. In those agreements, sometimes there's verbiage in there about the PPA person coming to remove the panels at the end of their terms. is that language in there or it's not in there?
So it is, but it's only at the end of the 40-year term period. And there's options to renew. So we would anticipate these would be minimum 40-year projects, and then most likely what would probably happen is, since the interconnection would be there, that we would probably just look to do a new project at the same time. So it might be a new set of panels or maybe some other new technology in 40 years, but we continue to use the site, look to use the site. So we don't really ever see it being not used going forward in the future.
I'm asking these questions, Mike, because it's gonna weigh into my bonding question later on, when you guys talk about that. So
Sure, absolutely.
So I'm also curious, because I've actually been investigating another solar panel system up at the school. Do you guys have completed the interconnection study with Eversource with this and confirm that it's good to go at this particular location?
So we're actually in the middle of interconnection applications with them now. They're all submitted, and we've been waiting patiently for them to give us their update. But based on what's called their interconnection hosting capacity map, we believe we're okay, because while the size of the project in DC kilowatt hours is 1 megawatt, the actual interconnection in AC is it's 200 Ks. So those are low enough where we think it won't have be bumping up against the limits there for that location.
I've been down this path with them before. And I actually believe that you're okay as well, based upon what I know at this location. But another question. There was a signed statement of consent by the applicant as part of our regulations. Was that signed, submitted? It's for the removal.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, it's in the
packet?
packet.
I just missed that. Mr. Hell, can you talk about signage real quick? So just posted at the entrance, around the sides, just all of its language in here about signage.
Yeah, a lot of obviously it's gotta comply with the zoning regulation.
Yep.
That's the minimum requirement. But beyond that, there's the electrical code requirements for signage, which I think are probably a little bit more detailed and a little bit more strict than what the zoning regulations require, so I think it kind of covers itself there.
Okay, fine. And then I'll get into the bonding, but we can handle that in a minute, I guess. I'm good, thank you.
Mrs. Sullivan, you had-
I'll ask Alvin afterwards.
Okay.
I just want to let you know.
Mr. Canoyer.
Just curious on two questions. The first one is on financing and the process of selling the stuff back to the grid, and also kind of tying that into the credits. And then also the second question is, what other companies are using this technology?
Okay, what was the actual question? I guess it was-
Sure. The question is, do you have the project financed? And what is the process that what company are you using to sell stuff back to the grid?
So it's interconnected with Eversource, so
Eversource.
it's through Eversource.
So they are financing as well?
No.
PPA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you're talking about the actual construction financing or who's purchasing our,
On the power side.
yeah, that's Eversource. So
Are there any comments from the public, questions from the public at this time, Mr. Langford?
Yeah, Paul, point of order. I know it doesn't show it on your plan over there. I don't know what type of equipment you're gonna have working up there, but most projects that you have to have a refueling pad if you're gonna refuel the equipment up there with diesel fuel and whatever. Are you gonna have that put in place?
we can if it's a concern. I mean, the wetlands.
Well, it could be for environmental. If you have a fuel smell, it's gonna have to be counted for. And most times you have to take and put a refueling pad with a berm around it, if there's any spillage, it can be contained right there. That's one question I got. The second one is on your entry, you're gonna have crushed stone on your roadway. It's gonna go from Route 12 up to the back. You're not gonna have any asphalt roadway going up,
There is a section of pavement, yes, at Route 12.
and that should be 1.5 times the longest vehicle that's gonna transfer it up there. Because if you have stone coming all the way down, trucks or cars are gonna, somebody's gonna carry it down, it's gonna be in a roadway and the cars are gonna be pinging it. And then you also talked about Simon, being a construction, I don't know how much trucks and equipment are gonna be going up in there, but you should have it on Route 12, coming up Route 12 and coming from the north and then, at least a sign at least 50, 60 feet up saying the construction everything going on, people will know in case somebody pulls out there. Because you've got two corners right there where cars coming on a corner, next thing you know, it can be right on top of it. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
That's a question.
Any other questions or comments? from the applicant?
Yes,
I'm sorry, just one minute, please, Ms. White.
yes,
Diane Jameson, I live at 490 Sunset Hill Road in North Hale. And I'm here just to support, I think solar is a great thing. My husband and I have been using it since 2008 in our house. I could bring a copy of our typical bill, which is $9.62 a month. So I think this is kind of where we need to head. I'd like them to be in the forefront of that. I know there's been some issues with others, and it needs to be done right. So I mean, I'm glad that you all have raised the hand and are trying to make sure that it's done appropriately. But I think this is where.
Thank you. Ms. White?
Sarah White, 308 East Thompson Road. Would you please again state how many acreage will the array take up out of the 54 plus acres?
1 acre.
20?
No.
1 acre.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
1 acre.
Yeah, approximately 1 acre.
1 acre, okay. Is the other project, which is has not been revealed, are they interconnected?
Well, the site layouts they've been done simultaneously, so they work together. One project does not require the other. There are two
Okay, is
distinct projects.
Eversource also involved in the financing of the other project?
No, it has nothing to do with it.
Okay,
They're two
thank
completely
you.
separate projects just on the same piece of property.
All right, is there, realizing that you don't want to eat up time discussing that, which is understandable, but would you please just reveal the nature of the project?
No, not until an application is submitted. It's inappropriate to talk about it in this proceeding.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White. Any other questions or comments? Yes.
I just want to say, Paul, if you watch the road, I just want to say one more thing. What Dave brought forward, this project was supposed to have started in 2014, but because of what transpired between the owners and the courts or whatever, it was pushed off for a long time, and now we probably have somebody that's going to utilize what that property is going to be and going to gain in the long run. And I can prove what, like that lady said, it's about time something's being done with it.
Thank you, sir.
If there's no further questions, we could.
Mr.
A motion to close the public.
Well, before we do that, we want to talk about bond.
Yeah, all right.
Decommissioning, to make sure we're on the same page.
We can do that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do that, David.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what we proposed, and in written comments to Cindy addressing this issue, is we proposed the $60,000 performance bond, which would cover basically the restoration of the site and stabilization of it after this is taken out. And we want to have a caveat in there that the commission gets to review that bonding on a 5-year basis, because looking 40 years out at the potential end of this project, no idea what the heck we're looking at for bonding costs to decommission a project 40 years from now. What we do know as of right now is that there is a very robust market for used solar components. So we feel that it's at the point that the actual salvage value of this equipment, if we're looking at a 5-year time span, is probably far greater than the cost to physically remove it from the site. If the town had to step in and actually remove this project in 5 years, you'd have a net gain by selling the equipment on the used market. that could be different in 10 years. It could be far different in 20 years. So we want to give the town the flexibility to review this on a 5-year basis and make sure that the numbers still work and the town is still protected. But we feel at this point that $60,000 is adequate to cover that cost.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Mr. Santos.
So that's why I was bringing up PPA. So if it's PPA, you actually don't own the equipment. Like you get the power purchase agreement.
Well, I think Mike could speak a little bit more to that, but I believe that this actually is owned personal equipment by the developer.
Okay, that's fine. Either way, my suggestion to the committee is $60,000 for vegetation stabilization, and I'm gonna add in the words "and removal." So it's combined, so you're paying $60,000, it's for both. And then in 5 years, like you said, we could reevaluate that in 5 years and maybe reduce it by 30,000 and just say for removal and then review it again in 5 years. I feel like adding the words removal identifies that we need to do something in 5 years. So that's why I'm saying 60,000 for vegetative stabilization and possible future removal of 60,000.
Anyone else?
Motion? Go to the motion.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
We're not there
close
yet.
to public. Yeah, you need.
We're still hearing.
No, but that sounds.
That sounds
I think the biggest thing is just having the flexibility to look at it as time goes on.
Yeah,
Because you're looking at an unknown completely.
Yeah, I mean, you clearly need to do some deal making with some people here, so language in there.
Ms. Hoffman?
You know, we're talking about bonding thing, but I, want to go back to what Mr. Lanky said as far as the fueling pad. I think that is something that needs to be put there because it is on gravel. And because it's gravel, it is, if something leaks, it is going to get into the ground, even though that area is not, you know, historically beautiful. But also the road, I agree with that because I was thinking that the gravel that is going to be there, it is going to end up on the highway. And we need to be able to make sure that that doesn't happen, especially it is a busy road. So, I mean, that's something that I would like to see considered and have those two situations looked at and something put in place. So rather than
You have kind
make a
of
mess.
That's basically a requirement of,
It is, okay.
It's gravel mining is under. It's
Well,
all-
it's also a requirement of the building office to have an apron of.
Yeah. for people.
Okay.
Well,
Well, are you talking about the
we're
road?
talking about two different.
Yeah.
Two different things, yeah.
So if you want to have the access road paved in for a certain amount from
Yeah.
Riverside Drive, that's fine, you know, maybe 100 feet or whatever is gonna cover the longest construction vehicle plus the 50%. As far as the gravel piece of it, the only gravel is the, you know, the 6 inches
Yeah.
or whatever that we're putting down for 11. It's not, this site is not a gravel deposit.
Oh, no, I understand that. I do understand that, but I'm just thinking because, you know, I've been on gravel road that for a while, it just moves. So, the apron is something that I'd like to make sure is going to play and the fueling pad. So that nothing gets leached out into the ground.
Ms. Orr?
Hi, guys again. I know I can't vote because I'm not sitting tonight, but I just wanted to ask, two things. I will not ask, comment. I think this is a great project. Something that we need, and I am very happy to see it's not on agriculture open space land. Just one question, could you keep us up to date on the interconnection with Eversource? And just update the board of, you know, it has gone through or it hasn't. And I understand it, I'm sure it's gonna go through because it sounds like a great project and I know there was supposed to be a project there back in 2016, but I think it just be nice for us to know whether it got approved or not by Eversource. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hill?
To answer Jane's question here, and to you, Dave. It will, once the gravel is in place, it will be rolled or compacted.
It probably wouldn't have to be roller compactor. We're talking about maybe 3 to 6 inches of crushed stone or gravel.
But if it was rolled, no? I mean.
Probably a plate compactor. It's not gonna be rolled, I mean, it's gonna be pretty wide.
And Jane can. correct me
Or are
if
we
I'm
talking
wrong,
about the
is
driveway?
your
Yeah, I'm
concern
talking
the
about
access?
driveway.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
the driveway.
Well, that's what I meant,
Okay.
her concern
Okay.
is coming down to Route 12
Yeah.
materials. But if it's compacted or rolled,
Yeah.
the chances of that the stone are so multifaceted, they're gonna be in the lawn,
Interlock.
unless they're plowed in the winter. That's different. Well, why would you plow it to begin with?
You're still gonna put the apron in though, right?
Yeah, we don't, that's fine, yeah.
Mr. Blackmer,
That apron won't even start till you get up beside the short shop. The pavement for Holmes, Sweet Village Road and whatnot
Okay,
is what they'll be traveling on. And then when they turn to go up behind the short shop, that's a driveway as it is
okay,
already.
yeah,
And so then when they go beyond that, when they get out to where the water tower, it's
but it's not gonna
a
be,
long ways away.
that's not gonna be.
Mr. Santos.
Motion to close public hearing.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Santos, seconded by Mr. Hill to close public hearing. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, a yes vote will close public hearing, and no vote will keep it open. Mr. Blackmer? Randy Blackmer, yes. Mr. Canoyer?
Yes.
Oh, John Daly, yes. Ron Santos, yes.
James Halsey, yes.
Russell Hodge, yes.
Mike Vogel, yes.
Alvin Hill, yes.
Mr. Williams?
Ray Williams, yes.
And Joseph Brody Brown, yes. Item 5, discuss public hearing.
Ray's got his hand up.
Mr. Williams?
Ray, is your hand up on purpose? Because you're on mute.
Okay, I don't know if it's the right time. I wanted to make a motion that we accept application 2350.
Okay, motion has been made by
I'll second it.
Mr. Williams, seconded by Mrs. Salsi to approve application 23-50. I'm getting to the discussion, Ms. Dunn. Any discussion on the motion? Mr. Santos?
So I just will look at the condition that I stated about the bond, including the language for future removal, as well as vegetative stabilization.
Can you talk a little louder, Brian? I'm sorry.
$60,000 bond that will include vegetation, stabilization, and future removal.
Include
Yep.
vegetation, stabilization.
And future removal to be reevaluated in 5 years.
Mr. Santos has proposed a condition to for the amount of bonding of $60,000 with the ability to evaluate every 5 years to cover vegetative stabilization and removal of the equipment. Seconded by Mr. Blackmer. Mr. Williams, is your comment on the condition?
Yes, I was gonna amend my motion to add the verbiage from Mr. Santos.
You second as amended, Mr.
Yeah.
Clancy.
Yes,
Okay, the motion to approve application 23-50 has been amended to include the bonding for $60,000 with a reevaluation every 5 years to cover vegetative stabilization and equipment removal.
So you reevaluation of what? You get to make it. So
I didn't say, I'm sorry, reevaluation of, did I say reevaluation? I said vegetative, I'm sorry, to reevaluate the amount of the bond every 5 years. The bond is for $60,000 with a reevaluation of the amount every 5 years. The bond is for vegetative stabilization and equipment removal. Mrs. Thompson.
and I do understand, thank you. Randy, about the driveway and everything else, but I do want a stipulation in there that there is a fueling pad put in there. Just so in case anything happens. To protect whatever is there.
Finish on the first one.
Yeah,
Do you have any particular place where you want the fueling pad as compared to what's all?
So the original motion has been amended, so the discussion is now on that amended motion.
Okay, okay, the parking area on the paved portion, okay.
Parking area.
Yeah, the job.
On site plan.
Yep.
Mr. Williams.
You know what I mean?
Ms.
I'm really tired of it. You're using all my acres.
Yeah, I wasn't sure who that,
Okay.
I thought the iPhone might be
Ray, can you hear
Mike,
me?
but it's not.
Yes,
Did you hear the proposed condition for the refueling pad?
no, she was breaking up. I don't understand about the refueling pad, to tell you the truth, if it's supposed to be, no hazardous waste or anything up there, so I just don't understand why there would be a refueling pad there, because there shouldn't be no fuel there.
Okay,
And probably the amount of work they're gonna do up there, they take the machine up full of fuel. It may not have to fuel it at all till the job's done. They're not doing a lot of work up there.
Oh, no, I get that. I'm just crossing my Ts and dotting my Is to make sure that it is, you know, not going to leach out into anything just in case. It's just a precautionary measure.
Okay,
okay, so yeah, so Mrs. Halsey has proposed a condition of refueling pad as part of the project. Is there a second for that motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Krogel. Any further discussion on the condition to require a refueling pad?
You never voted on the prior motion.
Mr. Williams preempted that by amending his original motion.
we combined the two.
So we're now, yeah.
Gotcha.
Mr. Blackmer, yes, for refueling pad condition, no to not require the refueling.
I don't see a necessity for it, but it's better to be safe than sorry, I guess. They have temporary pads that could be put down for something like this, because once the project's done, they're not gonna pump any more fuel in a lifetime up there.
So is that a yes or a no?
Well, 40 years anyway.
Temporary, well, I'll say yes, but the point being that a temporary pad should be good enough. It don't have to be something super elaborate, because they're not gonna use it but about once in the whole project.
Thank you.
So you just say a fueling pad while the project is under construction? That's how
Yes.
The condition would read.
Yeah, that's good. That makes me feel better.
Mr. Canoyer,
It's a yes or no
yes
vote.
or no, yes or no
Yes.
vote? Yes. Mr. Lanky,
Yes.
Mr. Santos?
Yes.
James also, yes.
Yes.
Mike Rogo, yes. Alvin Hill, yes.
Mr. Williams,
Ray Williams, yes.
and Joseph Brody Brown, yes, I did not miss anyone, correct? Okay. So, Mr. Williams, will you amend your motion to include that condition as well?
Yes, I would.
Thank you.
And I will
Yes,
second,
as amended.
yes, as amended.
Any further discussion on the motion with three conditions?
Signs, somebody said about installing the sign that construction is going on down on Riverside Drive. Is that gonna be a condition?
Yeah, I'll make that condition. That's a good idea, because like Mr. Linky said, is you got those two corners, Buckley Hill Road and Main Street and everything, people come around those turns, you're gonna be right on top of it.
I'll
So,
second.
Any particular feet you wanted?
well, I would go, let's see, from where they're going, they're gonna be coming up where the church is here, going up. You're looking at a good 100 feet from that going south to Main Street. So I would say as they come around a turn, 75 feet.
and then coming down from well, I mean, going north, it's gotta be 75 feet, and coming south from Buckley Hill, I'd say about the same 75 feet. That'll give, so when a truck or whatever's coming out of there, everybody's got a chance.
Wait a second, with
But
the-
that
Yes,
will be a
second, I
dangerous
second that.
area.
Mr. Lanky moves,
What's that?
seconded by Ms. Solcy. The condition of signs on Route 12 Riverside Drive, 75 feet from the access road
And
during
Go ahead,
construction.
finish what you're saying, and then I'll throw in another sentence. But the sign should read, construction vehicles entering and exiting. If we can put little yellow lights on them too.
I asking for a little much. We'll do this vote by a show of hands. All those in favor of adding signs, please raise your hand.
Ray has also raised his hand in Zoom.
Yeah.
Thank you. And opposed? I see no opposition. Before I make Mr. Williams amend his
Yeah. There is more.
motion again, are there any other conditions at the pleasure of the commission?
Ray's hand is up again.
Mr. Williams?
No, I messed up. I guess I didn't drop it.
Oh, you were still voting yes. Okay, seeing none, Mr. Williams, will you again amend your motion as amended?
Yes, I will. I guess I should wait to make a motion next time till it's all.
And I will
And
second.
Jane seconds as amended. Any further discussion?
Yeah. Somebody suggested update, have an update on, well, it was citizen comment, update on Eversource connection. Do you need?
The interconnection report.
Don't you issue a zoning permit when you do a building permit?
What was that? Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, then you can let us know.
Okay.
Okay, so we
All right.
need that one.
Okay, so then I made my recommendation in my memo on 275-14.5 BF. That the owner operator shall provide a copy of the project summary, et cetera, for the building and fire marshal. Do you want that in condition, or are you just gonna trust that I know that they're going to be doing that?
Well, don't we have to do that?
Yes, you
Yeah,
do,
so
yeah.
why we don't need to make it
Okay.
a motion?
Yeah, you won't sign it without the.
Yeah, we're not gonna sign
You
it.
know, we won't start unless they sign it.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you,
Good.
thank you, Ms. Dunn.
so that's three, right? Okay.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, a yes will approve with conditions, a no will take some other action. Mr. Hill.
Alvin Hill, yeah.
Mike Vogel, yes.
Russell Robin, yeah.
Jane Salty, yes.
Yes.
John D. Linky, yes.
Ryan, can I yes?
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Mr. Williams?
Ray Williams, yes.
And Joseph Brody Brown, yes. Thank you. Thanks. Item 6, citizens' comments. None in the room and none on the Zoom.
Hello,
Yes,
No,
Ms. White.
Sarah White, 308 East Thompson Road. It will be mighty interesting to see what the second project is. I'm wondering if the first project was offered first because it's more palatable to the community. And if the second project will not be as appetizing, but it will be harder to refuse it because you have passed this first one. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White.
Valerie's got her hand up.
Ms. Clark.
Just a minor comment, Valerie Clark, Palm Road. In your minutes, which you'll be, I'm assuming, reviewing, perhaps you could ask Mr. Jameson, who I believe is in the audience tonight, to clarify what his address actually is, because I don't believe it's in the minutes listed correctly. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Yes,
Bonnie Robbins, 591 East Thompson Road. Do we make comments now or when we get to said different applications?
so, yeah, but thank you for the question. So we just had a public hearing which invites open conversation or open comment from the public. The other applications are not in a public hearing, so they will not. That is not part of that process. So if you have a comment, now's the time to share.
Pardon me?
Now would be the time to,
Now would be
Yeah.
the time, okay. I'm questioning the application 2357, John Camilio and Kimberly, 597 East Thompson Road. I noted that, I'm questioning how many acres is in that parcel, because on 1017, we talked about 38 acres. On, November 14th, it talked about 3 10-acre lots, building lots. And in the past, I've known it to be 32 acres. So that's my first question. I'm also questioning. So the lots are listed as 10 C, 10D, and 10E. And I want to know why it doesn't start with 10A and 10B. I did note that back in the past, the prior owner, Alan Rawson, did get approved for 1 acre lots at 10A. So it's just a little confusing right there. I'm also concerned about the frontage requirements for the said 3 lots. And building, how far of a distance from a budding neighbor boundary lines is there? Because the existing house is very close to my boundary, and I'm questioning whether the P and Z did go out there and check that distance. I noticed a lot of our trees are missing in that area. There was an apple tree there. I think prior owners probably hunted and threw apples out there, and a tree grew. But it's no longer there. So I am questioning if said current applicant did not adhere to regulations, what would happen in the future in terms of other non-compliant actions? Well, let's see. I also am questioning, I know I was questioning the impact on the 5 Mile River, but I know that, what's the committee?
and then.
Thank you. I know they did a sidewalk and they did get approval there. So those are my questions that I would love to see answered if possible.
Thank you. So it just for your information, right? And we appreciate those comments. We take those comments in. Certainly, I hope that the applicant will address some of those points in their presentation, in their application. And just generally, when there are concerns about violations of zoning regulations, our zoning enforcement officer investigates and follows up as appropriate. Thank you.
Oh. Thank you.
Any other citizens' comments at this time? Seeing none. Item 7, approve the minutes of the regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission of October 23rd.
Reading through, I didn't see any errors. All over the accepted as sent.
Mr. Blackmer moves the acceptance as sent, seconded by Mr. Hill. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, a yes vote will accept, and no vote will, Mr. Blackmer. I'm sorry, Mr. Santos.
What was the comment about Valerie with the Jameson?
I know, is Mr. Jameson still here? I don't-
No, they just left, so we can't verify one way or the other.
Harmon Road.
I don't know. He has left, so.
Ray's got his hand up.
Mr. Williams.
I had the same thing, the same question that Mr. Santos just brought up about what Mrs. Clark wanted for the address for I forgot what his name was.
The Jamesons.
Jameson, right, for his address. I know it's Sunset Hill Road, but I'm not sure what the number is, but if he's not here to address it, I guess that's that.
It's Taylor Road.
Taylor.
Okay, would the commission care to take? What would the commission like to do with that information?
No, I don't know.
We just received.
I don't know.
address it when we-
Ray seems to know where he lives on Sunset Road. So.
What's that?
No.
You're talking about her information?
No.
My neighbor. Oh, okay. He lives on Taylor Road, so we're just adjust.
I thought it was Sunset Hill. I thought I went to their house a couple of years ago, but if we don't have it exactly, well, I think we just we're gonna have to leave it out and hopefully catch him next time and when he speaks.
Okay, very good.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. The motion has been made to approve and seconded. A yes vote will approve, and no vote will deny. Mr. Blackmore.
Randy Blackmore, yes.
Mr. Carr.
Mr. Carr, yes.
John Bueller, yeah. I said it was yes.
Jane Salz abstain.
Mike Kogo, yes.
Alvin Hill, yes.
Mr. Williams
Ray Williams, yes.
and Joseph Brody Brown, yes. That is 9 votes in favor, 1 abstention due to absence. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure how much it matters at this point, but I did just look it up on the parcel maps. It is 56 Taylor Road is the Jameson's address. Kevin, if you want to just make that note in the minutes for next time.
Thank you. Item 8, applications received. Application 23-55. Jeffrey Humes, owner of 374 Thompson Road, map 105, block 40, lot 13, zone. And this is a correction here, zone Thompson Common Village District, TCVD. Request a zoning permit with commission site plan review to operate a country inn with on-site events in an accessory structure. Zoning regulations, Article 9, Section 275-92, Table of Permitted Uses, number 9, and Article 2, Construction and Definitions, Country Inn Action, zoning permit with commission site plan review discussion. Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Humes?
I don't know what the procedure is. What we're looking to do is that I own the bed and breakfast and my wife and stepdaughter are looking to do small events in our barn that's in the backyard. So they would like to update to a country inn, and that's, I guess, what allows us to have small events in our place. We're looking for 60 people or less. We're not looking to do anything large scale. So we're just trying to do small parties, bridal parties. My wife knows a lot of women that have tea parties. They've done, you know, they want to do. We've had small events of 10, 15 people. And we're looking to see if we can have up to 60 people. This is the reason we're looking to do a country inn so that we can have events. We've gone through Department of Health. We're looking to update the septic system. We're looking to install a couple of bathrooms off to put an addition on the barn so that we can have caterers come in and keep food warm or chilled as necessary, and still have the barn as accessible to entertain the event. We're looking to amend our property to be able to park cars. I have 2 neighbors that have volunteered their yards to access parking if necessary. One's across the street, Tom Murray. The other one is Jonathan next door. He's a good.
help us provide parking. The lighting, got a pole that they just changed out because I had power service change so that we can have sufficient power out there for lights, heating. We're looking to install heating and air conditioning. So put in service to accommodate that, and I'm looking to have a light put off of the pole on my side of the pole, which will accommodate that parking corner. And I have lighting on the barn and the house that will provide accommodations for outside events.
And Mr. Blackburn.
My concern is, I don't know, I think we need to see, how you're gonna park cars. You don't have,
I haven't laid that out yet. No. I'm looking to see where we can accommodate parking. I'm trying to talk to somebody who's gonna help me do that. So that's, and along with my neighbor across the street, I'll have to check in to see how many cars he can park.
So I had a conversation with John from the building office.
Okay.
And the applicant that, designated 3 areas for parking. And when just computing it, the 115 by 46, you have to have 18 feet wide by 9 for your parking. So on one side you get 12. If you do the same thing on the other side, then you only have 10 feet to turn around and or back out, to leave. And John had said that he didn't think that was enough. The bottom line on the parking is that the plans have to be a little bit more astute for the building office to approve any parking, et cetera. And the handicap section does have to be paved. And that, has to be, delineated where it's going to be close to the barn. Depending on, again, on their parking places, depends on how many on that chart I sent you, as to how many come with handicap. But the parking is still in question. While Tim told me today that we have contacted the health department. I don't have anything in writing to present to you for the health department. And, you're doing 2 bathrooms, so I just wanted to let you know that information. I did not get anything in writing.
I have called the cat.
But you didn't get anything from the health department telling you what you had to do.
No, but in talking to Paul, we've actually oversized the septic facilities because of the house, the increase in usage that we have for the house, plus the 2 bathrooms. We've oversized it to what they've asked us. When the addition was put on 20 years ago, they never completed the actual septic system that was written up. So it's actually undersized, so that's why I'm going with a new septic system that's going to be oversized. It's going to have 2 tanks and a large leach field. We're going to have material brought in so that the leaches can function. So Paul he assured me that.
But my point is, because of your regulations, that has to be in the record.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah.
So.
And the other part is how many parking places. I mean, we don't say how many parking places you have to have for none of our regulations per a business, but you've got to get, especially in that section that you're not going to be parking the road. So I'd ask Jeffrey to please get a written, notarized written statement from the neighbors that they would park, they would allow them to park on their
I
property.
have verbal.
But I need a written one for
Yes.
the record.
Yes.
So all this, all this has to be in the record.
I will attend.
Yeah. So that's, I think that was, I was reviewing my
Yeah, those
memo.
were your
Of course, I
2
lost it.
individual comments.
I think that was a free thing. That, you know, it's information I can give you.
Mrs. Sullivan.
I just, want to get into a little bit more, what kind of, events are you, I know you said, tea parties and or bridal showers, things like that. You're not looking at any type of entertainment or anything like that.
If they have music, we understand that we have agreed that our neighbors, there is a 10 o'clock limit on any kind of noise. We're shut down. So,
I think we're in problems with that before.
I don't know what type of entertainment they're doing. We're not looking to put on concerts or anything like that.
Okay, no, but I mean,
This is for sit down, eat.
Yep.
And you might have
I know.
music and things like that.
no, it's just that we have run into a few problems here in the town that people have wanted to bring in some sort of venue, and it does cause a few problems. That's why I'm asking. Are you planning on at some point applying for a liquor license?
No,
Okay, so,
we don't plan on doing that.
okay, all right, and because I wanted to say what Cindy said, get that in writing from your neighbors as far as the parking goes.
Yes. Yeah.
Not only for our benefit, but.
No,
for
they
your
was
benefit.
good, yeah.
Yeah, your benefit,
Well,
Yeah.
as a courtesy.
yeah, yeah.
No, I fully understand.
Okay.
Yes,
What were we gonna use the back building for? You've got a barn out back that you were gonna,
that's where we're
incorporate in
gonna
this?
hold the events. It's just a barn and my wife is very good at accommodating, facilitating people to sit down and eat, and her daughter is very good at decorating, and they just know how to put on a sit down meal
All right.
to entertain and.
And I
accommodate people.
wasn't able to figure out what the structure was that you were, the extension you were putting on, or,
Well, the extension is basically if we have catered events, because we're not gonna cook anything there.
Yeah.
They're gonna need to be able to have foods kept warm and chilled. So we're putting in the addition to hold that food separate from what's already there. We're gonna add on 12 feet by the length of the barn. So it'll be 12 feet by, the actual structure will be, 32 feet, because we're just gonna have an overhang on the front section, so we can maintain one door in the front, one in the back to accommodate fire marshals escape and, you know, for accommodating people to get out.
I guess, you need to, if they're gonna serve food there, you're gonna have to meet standards from Department of Health, right?
Right.
So I think you got a whole lot of questions you gotta answer
Well,
before you come
that's-
back to us.
Well, that's. We're looking, I'm still in the preliminary stage. We're looking at finding out the stuff that we need to have from the Board of Health as far as the food, the countertops and all that kind of stuff. And then, that's what we're looking into. So that is helping us work with that.
Did you want to address that, Mr. St. Ange?
I have a little bit of knowledge into this, as the business that I run. You don't have to have necessarily a food service permit because the company or whoever you may be hiring is the one that is actually licensed through the board, the Department of Health. You need to have a sanitary inspected kitchen with washable surfaces
Right,
and,
you have to have
and,
wash-
right, yeah, you don't need to have a food service permit to serve because that falls under the caterer.
Right. We're gonna have the sink. Someplace to be able to keep. food
Correct.
Warms and someplace to keep foods chilled.
It wouldn't even have to necessarily have that. Usually most of them
They
are
usually
self-contained,
carry that
yeah,
Themselves, but it will be good for us to have something,
sure, yeah.
you know, small event, you know.
So
things that
Jason,
they-
he doesn't have to have he's not gonna be, have to have a red book, right?
He will have to have it just because of
Okay.
sanitation and things like that, plumbing.
Alright. And then I would have to sign, so I would sign off on the red book.
Correct, yeah.
Red book is-
It's through the Department of Health. It just depicts how you,
Okay.
it
Not about-
depicts,
I'm
it
just trying to
depicts,
get all the terminology.
what all your surfaces are made out of, non-porous surfaces, easily cleanable wall surfaces. You
Right.
can't have like a rough cut wood wall.
Oh,
It has to be something that's washable.
No, I totally understand. Yes, sir.
Mr. Sanchez.
I think it's obvious that we're tabling this one, but my question is, when do you think it'll be more appropriate to put it back on the? Let's go back and do it again.
No, probably to do what?
To act on it.
Put it back.
If we table it,
Because it sounds like it's gonna be longer than a month.
Oh, yeah, I'm trying to get everything in place so that we can be up and running by May.
Well, yeah, you can table it till next month, you have plenty of time, then after that, you have to start getting permission, it's an application, I think, yeah, I can check that, out. Yes, you can put it off next month, decision next month. Absolutely.
Well, we can grant
well, yeah,
extensions too.
Right,
then
yeah,
later
sure.
the applicant would have to give us permission to.
But you're still within your 65 days, if you come back in December.
Or even January.
Are you okay with that, Brian? But you need to let him know what you expect him to come back with.
I don't think anyone's gonna get it.
You outlined it.
Yeah, I've got to get people that are willing to get back to me. Okay, there's certain people that call them, but they have to answer you.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a challenge sometimes. I've got two individuals that I've got to work with that.
Yeah, so Mr. Hume, without the Department of Health.
Yeah.
And without the parking plan, we won't be able to accept this application.
Okay.
So this time I'm gonna move, we table this application to the December meeting. Hopefully we have all that in place there. December 27th.
Okay.
Sorry, we're having ours on the 27th.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right,
So
because
you're
the 25th
actually-
is the Monday.
He's got 65 days, so you gotta get it in before the be ready for the end of January.
Okay.
Or
Do you
then
want
have
the
to
end
get
of
an extension.
January, or do you want to come back and set?
Excuse me,
Yeah, it's your.
Yeah, Ray's got his hand up.
Yeah, I'll get you in just 1 minute. Ray. Is it 65 days from the date of the application or our first meeting?
Your
after?
first meeting first.
Okay, so then, yeah, January would work. Thank you, Randy. Mr. Williams.
Wouldn't we have to accept it for an application to come in for an application before our 65 days start?
So yeah, so we have 65 days from tonight.
I didn't think it was waiting till we accepted it for an application.
We only have to act on applications that require a public hearing when we accept them 1 month for a public hearing the next month. This is not an application that requires a public hearing, so our first action on the application is tonight.
It's to table.
Okay, so we want information on parking, right? Then we want the
Yeah.
information on the Board of Health.
That's right.
And then it could take longer than 65 days for him to get that information from the Board of Health, and then we're over a barrel is what I'm.
Yeah, absolutely. After, so we are required to act within 65 days unless the applicant gives us permission to extend that window.
Okay.
So if we get to the January meeting and everything's not there, we can request permission from the applicant to extend the consideration time. And if he grants it, we can act thereafter.
We also can reject the application.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can deny it without prejudice and he can come back and reapply when he's ready.
Maybe it's the thing to do.
I was just gonna say that, Randy, maybe that is the avenue to take, reject the application until.
Sandy shaking her head, no.
No,
Why?
Well, we have a different
Because it may
chance
take
to-
him,
Yeah, but
it
then
may
it's-
take him till March to get his answers.
but I think that's a January conversation. I think we can have that conversation in January.
You're not the only one putting it on the job. My wife.
So I will,
She's not here tonight because it's Brazil.
And-
Well, her mom-
Oh, I'm sorry.
I will move tabling application 23-55 actually to our January 22nd, 2024 meeting.
Okay.
Is there a second to that motion?
I was second.
No, I'm not.
Seconded by Mr. Crowell. Okay, is there any discussion on the motion?
I'm just curious, why are we pushing this thing through with a motion and whatnot? The gentleman just said 15 minutes ago, if that, that he's not gonna be really ready until May.
Well, no.
No,
we're
he
trying
hopes to be operating in May.
Because,
But you're still gonna run some obstacles. for
oh,
now.
I get that.
So if you get
But-
everything, the ducks in
But
order.
I have, this is where I don't know which is the cart and which is the horse. I'm trying to get the application.
I
put
think the
in.
cart fell over and the horse just kept going. But,
Well, I'm trying to get who's the.
I know,
So
but it's just, we're trying to give you enough time.
Oh, yeah.
Would January be enough time for you to get all this, hoping that the people get back? to
Well,
you?
to get the parking layout, I can do that.
Okay,
All right, the Board of Health, that's a question. I have no idea. I'll put a call in tomorrow and find out where they're up to. I've got 2 other people that I have to try to get to answer me on certain questions. Okay? So it's, you folks are not the only one. Like I said, my wife is, if she was here, she'd be driving her foot right up the back of my head. You guys are not driving me hard as she is.
it's just the idea is, don't forget, you said you wanna upgrade your septic system,
Right.
what it is.
And Paul has to get back. So that's.
You
the
hope everybody gets,
Right.
don't forget, Christmas, New Year's.
Well, I've been talking to Paul for 2 months. Okay, so.
The motion is to table until January, that date again, 22nd, 2024. Mr. Blackmer,
Yes.
Mr. Knoyer,
Yes.
No.
Brian Santos, yes.
Things also, yes.
Yeah. Mike Vogel, yes.
Alvin Hill, yes.
Mr. Williams,
Ray Williams, yes.
Joseph Brody Brown, yes. Good luck. We will see you in
Thank
January.
you very much.
Application 23-57, John Camilio and Kimberly, owner of 597 East Thompson Road, map 154. This is block 5, lot 10, zone rural residential agricultural district, RRAD, requesting a 3-lot subdivision according to 2023 amended subdivision regulations, Article 3 and Article 4.
Gonna make a correction here.
I read it correctly. I read it as
Okay.
corrected, yeah. So it's map 154, block 5, lot 10.
Lot.
Block 5, lot 10.
Put it in my memo. It's not right on there. The agenda.
Who's gonna chat?
Good evening, I'm Janet Blanchett, professional engineer with J&T Civil Engineers, representing the owners and applicants, Jack Camilio and Beverly Lombard. And Mr. Camilio is with us this evening. So on East Thompson Road, approximately 30 acres, it's an unusually shaped property. You can see the outline in orange with a couple of little dog legs there. It's on the east side of the road right before the intersection heading north of Greenwood. The proposal is to have a subdivision with a shared driveway, a 3-lot subdivision in the approximately 30 acres. So if it's flip right over to the subdivision or property survey map, it's colored up so I can go over some of the site features with you. So the property, again, it's kind of unusual, but the perimeter is outlined in orange on this plan. The blue represents the inland wetlands, and the 5-mile river flows from the west through the site, then turns south, and the actual property line on the east is the Rocky Brook. Associated with the wetlands and the water courses, which is shown on the plan in this hatched area I have is the 100-year flood zone. This is taken from the new FEMA maps. Many of the commissioners are probably aware that the whole county has new flood maps that were effective September 2023, and affecting many properties now. But this is the latest flood zone. What I have shown colored in this kind of brick colored hatch would be the proposed access and driveway easement over the shared driveway. So this map shows the 3 lots. I'll point them out and tell you what the acres are. And I also should mention that there is an existing house. Jack and Kimberly live there as homeowners, and really what they want to do is build a different house for themselves across the driveway. So their lot here would be 8.01 acres. There's a lot in the middle that's 2.97 acres, and then the great majority of the land, 18.73 acres, would remain with Mr. Camilio, where he wants to build his house. What I'll do is I'll show you the next 2 sheets, and it will be the first sheet will be like the northern view of the land, and then the next sheet will be the southern view, and it'll be a blow up that shows where the proposed houses are going to go. And I can talk more about the driveway. This existing driveway is more than a driveway, it was a gravel haul road. And so it's actually perfectly set up to become a shared driveway. It meets the width and other design criteria of your regulations, and we can go over some more specifics on those appropriate needs. So this is basically the northern half from the 5 Mile River. There's 5 Mile River north. So there's no construction proposed on this sheet whatsoever, except for a widening of the existing driveway. In the shared driveway regulations, every 500 feet, there should be a vehicle pull-off. And so this driveway is already 18 feet wide. So in this section, 500 feet from the road, it'll be 22 feet wide in case, somebody's coming in and out, or UPS delivery or something. And so this area that's hatched is the 50-foot, the proposed 50-foot access and utility easement, and required in the subdivision regulations. And so there's no other work, there's no other construction work besides this small widening of the driveway on the whole northern half of the property. So the 5 Mill River is up at the top, so this is the southern half of the property. Here's their existing house. And then these are the two other proposed lots that would share the driveway, the shared driveway. So the driveway is constructed up to this point, then it veers over to their existing house. So in order to, get it to stay in this easement, what I colored in the darker gray, is really the only part of the new construction of the shared driveway. And so there's a detail, one of the detail sheets here has the exact construction standards from your subdivision regulations, but it really only affects this last bit of the shared driveway. So then the 2 houses are kind of outlined. They have the approvals of the Inland Wetlands Commission, a conceptual subdivision approval. These lots also have approval by the Northeast District Department of Health. And that there's not only conceptual approval from the subdivision, but we submitted specific engineer design septic systems for each of those lots, and those are each additionally approved. So it has all of those approvals. Oh, the easement, this easement, you have in your subdivision regulations a sample template, and I have given that to Mr. Camilio. Up with the appropriate thing so that he can have his attorney make the real one that will be presented for filing in the land records along with the Mylar for this project. So he is planning on just having his attorney use your template appropriately, filled out for this this project. And the houses and everything are far outside of the 100-year flood. The houses, the septic systems are, there won't be any flood insurance or anything. Fired. Just moving on, again, we have this shared driveway detail, erosion and sediment control details. And then lastly, if you want any more information on more specific development of the lots, the last two sheets of this plan set that were submitted to the commission are the actual engineered septic system design with inverts and elevations on them. So this project, I believe we have incorporated low impact development techniques to the extent possible. There's only in this whole subdivision, there's only going to be 0.56% impervious area. So it's with only 3 houses on almost 30 acres, it's 29.7 acres to be precise. You know, there's almost no impervious area. We're reusing not one, but two existing haul road from previous gravel operations, because we have the long one that comes in from East Thompson Road, and Mr. Camellia wants to build his house off of another one that used to have a bridge over Rocky Brook, and that bridge was removed after with gravel. So yeah, so very little land disturbance with the addition of these two lots. So I guess I think as far as the subdivision regulations, it does meet all the setbacks, all the area, all the frontage, you know, impervious areas, it fully meets the zoning regulations and the subdivision regulations. It has the Inland Wetlands Commission approval. It has the Department of Health approval. So I mean, we're hoping that we certainly want to answer any questions of the commission, but we hope you'll have enough information to act on the application.
Thank you, Ms. Blanchett. Any questions for the commission at this point? Mr. Hill.
Again, is this, given the size of the land, is this the end of the development? Can there be any future development on this land?
I don't believe there can, because you have a limit of 3 lots on a shared driveway, and because of the amount of wetlands and everything, it would be very difficult to come in. You know, I mean, they're basically a big, large culvert over the 5 Mile River. So putting in a second culvert, and I think environmentally there wouldn't be for it.
So that pretty much locks it in.
For 3 lots on a shared driveway.
I think it was discussed it over and over and over again. I think that's really settled. Ms. Dunn.
So Janet, in relationship to what the in the comments, the acreage here, I think that you might think this is part of it. Remember you explained this to me? You just wanted to.
With this property, I'm not this printout from the town assessor's maps. I mean, you know, assessor's maps are not always accurate, and there was actually a lot of boundary line agreements and adjustments near New Road. So this little piece right here is not in the property. This property ends on the Rocky Brook. The property line is the Rocky Brook that comes around. So this on New Road is not. It's not part of this.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm wondering if that's where she got the information about 30 acres, 38 acres.
That could be.
Meeting minutes.
Could be, so. Yes, the property line on the east is the center line of the Rocky Brook. And New Road is off this sheet over here, so none of these properties are on.
You have a question. Will there be an open public hearing?
This application does not require a public hearing.
Okay.
Any other, Mr. Santos?
Somebody remind me, what do we do for ownership of maintenance and plowing of shared driveways?
That's in the statement, isn't it?
Is it in there? Yeah.
Right, in that appendix.
Is that in the declaration, easement, driveways and utilities, or is that just for utility?
No, it definitely includes maintenance. There's a whole section of maintenance and repair of an area.
Okay, so it's in there, okay, so we'll be based on the conditions.
Cindy, it seems, the questions in your memo You responded. to
Yes,
it, yeah.
you responded to my questions, yes.
Any thoughts, questions, comments from the commission?
So what is the total acreage we're talking about right now?
It's 29.7 acres, and the 3 lots, one will be 8 acres, one will be 3 acres, round numbers, and the other will be 19 acres. So they're all good sized lots, and in fact, when you stand in each one of those houses, you cannot see where the house, so that's how far apart they are at one property.
All that wetland is pretty much in the 19-acre parcel, so.
Yes, that's correct. The majority of it is, there's one little pocket in this.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah, all this here is in the 119.
Another question. Is there any way I can get answers on the questions I had? Your phone. Me call my office.
And you are?
Wednesday, Cindy, I'm the zoning enforcement officer.
Okay.
Cindy, Wednesday, yes.
Wednesday.
Thank you. Mr. Santos.
A motion to approve PZ application 2357 for the one condition, want me to do that now?
Please do.
That the declaration and easement for driveway and utilities be filed in the land records along with the Mylar and official documents.
Mr. Santos has moved approval with the condition that the, make sure that I get it right, declaration of easement for driveway and utilities be filed in the land records along with the Mylar and official documents.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mrs. Sauce.
Did you get that, Kevin?
How dare we move without Cindy being at her notebook? Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, a yes will approve with condition, a no will deny. Mr. Keller.
Elton Hill, yeah.
Mike Ogle, yes.
Russell Robin, yeah.
James Rose, yes.
Brian Santos, yes.
John Beal, yes.
Right, no, yes.
Randy Blackmore, yes.
Mr. Williams
Ray Williams, yes.
and Joseph Brody Brown, yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Palia. Item 9, reports of officers and staff. We have a budget report. Questions? Hold on to one. Item 9B, planner. Ms. Pang.
Yeah, just a few casual updates. One, you probably already know, we have the hard copies of the edition of the zoning regulations that was created for us by general code. So you may, if you haven't already picked up your copy, you may pick it up. Cindy's got them there at the end of the table and just replace your existing hard copies. So now this matches what is online in form as well as language, which is great. And the 3 brand new folks have received their copies, so they don't have to replace anything. They just stick them in there. And then just 2 other quick things. Thank you to those of you who showed up at the second workshop for the 65 Main Planning Project. There's actually quite a few people here who were there. The next one, which will be an intensive on the permaculture design for the site, is scheduled for the 20th of this month at the library. Pizza and eggnog are promised. I encourage you to RSVP to me. I'll be sending out a notice to all the participants in the past meetings, probably by the end of this week. But it is open to anybody. The RSVPs are just so I know how much pizza to order. It's Wednesday, the 20th, 6 to 8 at the library. That's fine. And that's,
some pizza.
yeah. And that's Wayne Wiseman from the Permaculture Project is coming back out from Illinois to do just a 2-hour intensive on just that aspect of the planning project there. And then the third and final thing is our toy drive started today and runs through the Friday before Christmas. We're actually doing 2 separate toy drives. The first one opened today and will close on the Thursday or Friday of the week of the 15th, 16th weekend. I think it's got to be the Thursday because Teague needs to prep stuff for their distribution day. So anything collected between now and that date will go to Teague. And then in the final week before Christmas, we had such a great partnership with Toys for Tots last year, and they can actually distribute right up until Christmas weekend. We're doing 1 additional week to collect for Toys for Tots. So this is the 2nd year we'll be working with them, and we had so many toys in the tax office last week. So if you find yourself in town hall with some holiday cheer in your pocket, feel free to drop off a new unwrapped toy either at the tax office or the town clerk office.
I thought you were gonna say to bring the holiday cheer in to share.
Well, that too, but neither Teague nor Toys for Tots will distribute that. So, that's
Thank
what I got,
you.
guys.
Thank you, Tira. Ms. Dunn, anything on your memo that you?
No, I think everything else here is on the,
Perfect, thank you. Item 10, correspondence. We received season's greetings from the Thompson Senior Citizens Club and a request for assistance. The CPF-PZA quarterly newsletter and a notice of public hearing in town of Douglas. Any questions on those? Item 11, signing of Mylars. There are none. Item 12, old business. Vote on approval of 2024 meeting schedule. I'm having deja vu all over again. I believe we voted on this in October. And
no, you didn't vote on it. You just voted on a amendment. You did not vote on the revote.
I move
We reread the minutes.
Okay.
And that's why it's on there for you to vote on the schedule.
So it was an-
The schedule that we,
What?
I move we approve the schedule we
I second
discussed last meeting.
the approval of the schedule we discussed last meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Ray, would you like to record a vote on the schedule for the 2024 meetings?
Sure. How's that?
Mr. Williams' hand has been raised in the Zoom room.
Sounds like a yes vote. Thank you. Item 12B, review of commission members' training requirements. It's
Okay.
done.
All right, so have some patience with me. For the new members. And I wrote you out the state statute so you can read it at your convenience. It was required a couple of years ago, they decided they didn't have anything to do with the legislative, so they made a law that says you have to have 4 hours of training in your position as being the commission member.
Yeah, wish.
So that's the law, so you can take your time reading that.
Only another way for them to get money.
The second part is during the course of the year, members here have attended training programs. I have done my best to record it, or I had notes in the folder, and I made up individual sheets. The first column is the amount of programs that you could have attended this year. The second column is what you did attend in your hours. Third column is the agency who gave out the training program. The fourth column is the date. And the fifth column is the time that that program was running. Not the time you put in it, that's your first and your second column. So I made one out for each member. Here's one for you, Ms. Blank, and I'm gonna get to that after. Brian, you are covered, you have 8 hours.
Brian, could you loan us a couple?
You can share them, right?
Guys, you don't have anything yet.
sale, Randy. Everything's for sale.
Jason, you have nothing here. Randy, you have 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yes. John Linky, 2.5 hours.
Oh, I was hoping for a 0.
Okay. Ray Williams, you have 4 hours. You're covered, Ray.
Yay, Ray.
Jane Celsi, you have 8 hours. 'Cause we
Yay,
did that
Jane.
program together.
She's an overachiever.
You have 2 hours.
Tiara or Cindy, Randy had told me earlier that there's something, I mean,
Yes,
Black.
that's my
Okay,
next.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I don't mean to jump the gun.
Alan, 7 hours, you're covered. And Ryan, you have Zippo. Okay, so the third part of this is there are 2 more well, let's go back to the schedule I gave you. Anybody can go on, you go down the bottom here, you see the plan, Clear Land Use Academy, which is UConn. You can go on, I have the instructions for you, and you can take those programs on your own. And I have that here. And then there is one Wednesday night. NECOG is giving one in Putnam, the town hall, our Taj Mahal there. Sorry, I'm being sarcastic. So,
You're on the record, Cindy.
anyways, but this one's beautiful, right? No,
not quite.
So if anybody is interested in going Wednesday night, Ryan, you don't need to go, right?
No, he does not. He is set.
How many, I missed it, how many? Oh, yeah.
I have Wednesday free, so I'm gonna go.
Okay.
And Alan.
Yes.
How long-
See it, John.
How long does it,
An hour and a half, yes. Are you interested?
Cindy, can I, Kai, this is Kai. Cindy, can I stop in to see you tomorrow to pick up this?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I'll leave with Tara, and if you're gonna go, I have to call Delia tomorrow, and I told her I'd call her from home, as to how many are gonna be coming.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, we need one?
What's that?
That's for Wednesday. You've already completed it.
You don't need it, Alvin.
Okay.
Okay.
Alvin's a super achiever.
Yeah, you don't want it?
No,
Okay.
no,
All right.
thank you.
And then
Thank
the
you
next-
for doing this, Cindy. Thank
There's
you.
one more, I had another piece of paper here. Well, I guess that.
Commissioner Train.
$35 charge.
No, that's,
It's just to pay on
that's my copy.
versus town reimbursement.
So, yeah.
Those I work.
There was something else. Sorry.
It's a question for Cindy. Typically, we will cover the commissioners
No,
and
I
those
guess
charges, but
that's it.
sometimes
It's just land use.
those charges aren't real.
Yeah, okay. So I would like to know how many is going, so I can call Delia tomorrow. Yeah, so Mike's
So
going,
just ask Cindy, because I don't have any budget left for that.
Randy,
Was this the morning, Wednesday night?
yeah, Wednesday night, Ryan's going.
Yeah, put me on.
Russell, did you say you're going? Russell
You did not just dab in my meeting.
and Jason. And John.
Cindy put Kai's.
Guys,
And what time?
it's
6 to 8.
6:30.
6:30.
Yeah,
Just finishing up milk.
So
Yeah, I was
I don't
just
know what
gonna
they're
say,
gonna
you know.
John,
For the third time, yeah.
okay.
I wouldn't object to not having a meeting to go to on Wednesday.
All right, so I will call tomorrow. And guys, look at it after this Wednesday and we'll address this again in December to see what you have for January. You don't have your hours by January.
Does the
But
Even the new people?
town pay for it, or we pay for it ourselves?
You don't
no,
pay for it.
no. That, and I said, well, I'll research it, but I didn't have time to research. Seriously.
I think it's fair to assume that anybody who was just elected does not have to have that
Yeah.
completed by January.
No, it's
All right.
the state.
Gave us all year, so you're gonna waste it all yet.
That's the one you go online.
And how much
I'm
today?
gonna do that one on.
This is the Land Use Academy. Do you want it, the Land Use Academy? Again?
Again.
Just kidding. You want the Land Use?
It's in our
Academy?
email.
What?
We have it in the email. You gave it out to us.
Even education.
I'll take it in a second.
You know,
I'll be a good student.
yeah, because I don't know if you, even if it's emailed, you can hit the link. You have to put the link in. You need that, but it's the Land Use Academy one.
Please.
No.
And that means you want.
Gotta get it moved.
Yeah, well, you've had this before, I've given it to you before, guys, but, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yes, you do.
Okay, yeah, is that all, Cindy?
Wednesday?
Guys are getting punchy, I can tell.
Cindy, is that all?
Yeah, that's it. And, oh, look, review your, sheets I gave you. If you think I'm wrong, I haven't put something down, please let me know and we'll correct it in the computer. But
Thank you very much, Cindy. This isn't really what you signed on for.
Yeah,
It's an additional task, and
Yeah, very good.
thank you for that.
Yeah, and if you do the online ones, mark it on that list and bring it to me, so.
Mark it as online.
No, the list I gave you. Your report card.
Right here, yeah, but we mark it down as online.
Yeah, but you do the online one, yes.
Okay. Item 13, new business, bond approval for delay and stabilization of ground cover 52 Akola Road.
Oh, that's me.
That's you, you're still on.
All right, you have to give me a minute and get the information here. Okay, so I got the call, from Sean Cole, the builder, building a beautiful house out.
McCullough Road.
Yeah, Bacola Road, that was the subject of the subdivision you approved about a year ago or so. Anyways. So he said that he is not gonna be able to stabilize that beautiful property there before next spring. So our regulations state that we have to have a property bond when somebody's building a new house. And if they're not gonna stabilize the lawn, they have to have a bond. So I went out and investigated, I took pictures. When I went out there, when you're in the driveway, and I believe it's facing north, on the right side, facing west, he is building a workshop, but he didn't have a silt fence there, and his plans stated a silt fence. And so he didn't have that. I told him he needed that, and then the silt fence going east was in disrepair, as you can see from the picture. I went out there last week and he had put the silt fence up for the workshop. And he had repaired the silt fence on the other side, so those two are done. But so we require a bond, or I give you the information and you want him to post a bond, which you actually did already.
I was gonna say it,
It was over with, because he wants me to sign the COO. And if it's not, the ground is not stabilized, unless there's a bond, I can't sign the COO. So do you want a bond on the property?
We've already got it in our hands.
Yeah, you have it, he gave it. I told him to wait until after Monday.
Got it, so
but
it's
he-
like a moot point.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
so I just wanna let you know that, this will probably be coming up more. In what I'm going to be doing when I sign off a building permit for new construction. And a zoning permit, I'm taking that zoning permit and bringing it downstairs and putting in folder for all new houses, so that, I'm not surprised with this again by somebody, so.
Cindy, is that is that a pile of loom that's right in the
Three,
driveway?
yeah, but not, there's,
So
that's
he's-
gonna be
It's
topsoil,
gonna be all spread out on the
right,
lawn.
it's gonna be his topsoil, yeah.
Between you and me and the door jam, that's so flat that nothing will run off of there. He reported it himself, but
Hey, good customer, good builder for us, called me up and I said, hey, absolutely, yes, we do. I will ask them if they want a bond, but he brought.
So do you need that like this?
No,
You wanna take credit for that?
It's okay, you know, I don't have to tell them to tear up the bond, right? Okay. Good point.
Thank you, Cindy. Item 13B, review of bylaws. It is time for our annual review and the approval of bylaws.
I got it right here. Actually, it's, nothing has changed.
Sorry.
You want me to move on?
And what, the bylaws, oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
Well-
here's what we did last year, it's in a nice little packet for you.
You can thank Alvin for those efforts. He made these
Yes,
nice little
he did.
packets up for you all.
Give him a hand.
Well,
Welcome on
as
shoulder.
always. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You wanna go?
The whole folder. This is an impressive folder. You got the whole folder in the 3-ring binder.
I'll take Ray's. I'll take Ray.
All right, guys, I have yours.
Thank you, Alan. Seriously.
Conversion data. I am blown away.
Was there any proposed action to amend the bylaws?
I feel like we have to do something with this.
I think, well,
You guys did do a
Admire.
lot of revisions in January, so they should be pretty clean.
A motion to adopt these bylaws would be in order.
I make a motion to adopt these bylaws.
Seconded by Mr. Krogel. Any discussion?
I have to put this in the.
And again, a show of hands, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Mr. Williams, I'm looking to you. All those opposed?
Oh, you guys, it's like it's buffering. I'm only catching every other word.
I apologize.
Yes,
Thank you, Ray. I apologize. I'll try to make sure we're clear as
Before,
best we can.
before we go on, did I have that correction of the, you were working on, Alvin? I need this because I have to register.
Been all the way around.
Okay, I have to register everybody tomorrow. So I
Okay,
need-
I have to change my address. Okay, item 13C, election of officers.
I'm gonna frame this. I mean, I didn't know the name on it and everything.
Alvin, you did it all, not me.
You did a good job. Hey.
In order to expedite things,
Please, thank you.
you're not paying attention.
Okay.
Can I get one of them?
The election of officers, I'd move that we have Joe Perudy Brown for chair, myself for vice chair, and John Linky for secretary.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to elect a slate of officers, Joseph Brody Brown, chairman, Randy Blackmer, vice chairman, and John Linky, secretary.
Can I make a motion?
You certainly can.
A motion that John Lanky is chairman, Randy Blackmere as vice chair. And I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Ryan,
Ryan Canoia as secretary, please.
Ms. Salcy has moved the slate of John Lenke for chairman, Randy Blackmer for vice chairman, and Ryan Canoyer for secretary. There's second. Seconded by Mr. Robert. Mr. Hill.
I would like to add, to amend that motion to have that chairman speak to the commissioner in a 3-minute dissertation why they are the best for this commission.
I'm sorry, repeat that, Alvin?
So Mr. Hill would like. Go ahead, Mr. Hill.
In other words, to amend your proposal,
Yeah,
all right? That person, Mr. Lanky,
yeah.
address this commission within 3 minutes why he is the best candidate for this position.
Oh, okay.
Is there a second to Mr. Hill's proposal?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Krogel. The slates.
Is that both members?
Well, you're doing it for one, you should do it for the others.
I'm gonna ask to amend, we're only,
Well, we've got 2 slates that have been nominated.
all right, both slates.
You second as a member.
Yeah, so both of you.
Okay, so now we have to vote on that.
So we currently have 2 slates nominated for officers of the commission. And we have a procedural motion requesting the 2 candidates or the number of candidates to be nominated for chair to speak to this commission.
Why they are the best.
For up to 3 minutes as to why they are the best candidate for chair.
So speak the candidate.
I can speak the candidate. We will move, I guess, first to the procedural vote. That was made by Mr. Hill, seconded by Mr. Krogel. Is there any discussion on that motion?
Yeah, I'll make a discussion, I'll pull my name off completely. For both sides.
No,
Okay, order, Mr. Lanky, the,
you're withdrawing your name?
Yep.
the procedure of this commission has been to ask candidates who are nominated if
Okay.
they accept their nomination. Yes, Mrs.
Before you withdraw your name, let's take a vote on that amendment that Alvin put in.
No, on your particular.
Yes, okay, you amended my motion, so let's take a vote on that, please.
Before we do that.
Yeah, because we have to vote on that before it is allowed to happen.
Yes, but I have one other question.
Mr. Kroger.
Why are not offices voted on separately?
Yeah, that's the way we've usually done it.
We've done it historically both ways. Slates have been nominated and individual offices have been nominated. As it stands now, the nominations are for 2 slates. Any further discussion on Mr. Hill's motion? Hearing none, a yes vote will authorize that procedure, a no vote will not. Mr. Hill. How do you vote? On your motion?
Oh, well, yeah.
Mr. Kroger?
Yes.
Ms. Robin? No. Ms. Saucy?
No,
Mr. Santos?
I'll abstain.
Mr. Lanky?
No.
Mr. Knoyer?
No.
Mr. Blackmer?
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Mr. Williams?
No.
And I will abstain the party to the motion. There are 5 no votes and 3 yes votes, so the motion is defeated.
now we vote on.
As it stands, we have 2 slates nominated. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, is there a motion to close nominations?
I make a motion to close the nominations.
Second it.
Made by Ms. Salty, seconded by Mr. Kroger. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, we will now take a vote on the slates.
Well,
We got to resolve whether,
I'm sorry, yeah, that's correct, you're right. I accept the nomination for chair. Mr. Leckey, do you accept your nomination for chair?
Yes.
Mr. Blackmer, do you accept your nomination for vice chair?
yes,
Mr. Knoyer, do you accept your nomination for secretary?
Yeah.
Mr. Linky, do you accept your nomination for secretary?
No.
Do you wish to, Mr. Blackmer, do you wish to renominate a slate with a new candidate for secretary?
I would nominate Brian Santos for secretary.
Yeah.
And he's an alternate.
Well, when we went through this before, I asked Rich Roberts and he said it's not common, but he didn't know any reason we couldn't. And, all right,
I thought that the elected officers, nothing against you, Brian, because I like your work. I thought the elected officers had to be a seated commissioner.
This is the conversation we had, I think, last year at this time. And it's not in our bylaws requiring it.
Oh, we need to correct that. That somebody that is
Okay.
sitting on and voted in should be an elected commissioner, not an alternate.
okay, until we get that resolved, I move we table the elections to the next meeting. We get some answers on this so that we know how to do it. No, it's correct.
Motion has been made to table elections until next month. Is there a second on the motion to table?
Second motion.
Mr. Robin seconds the motion to table the election of officers to our next meeting in December. there any discussion on the motion? Mr. Crowell,
Okay, so I just want to understand, it is you, Randy? And who else?
Well,
It was gonna be John.
first it was John, and then I said Brian,
Right.
and this question whether Brian can serve or not. So
Okay,
we'll get that,
Brian
Second
is
is
John
John.
tonight.
Randy.
Then statute gives him exactly the same power as an elected.
To vote, but not
Yeah.
necessarily to be an officer. I think that's
So,
where
right.
the
and the
difficulty is.
and the motion was to table till next meeting and get some answers on this.
So we vote
So
on,
the motion, the first motion on the table, or the first motion before us is a motion to table the elections until December. Mrs. Saucy. I see you.
I would like to, why can't we vote on the commissioner and the vice commissioner and leave the secretary until December?
Because right now the nominations in front of us are slates. The motion is to table. Is there further discussion on the motion to table? Hearing none, a yes vote will table, a no vote will continue acting. Mr. Blackmore,
Randy Blackmore, yes.
Mr. Canoyer,
Brian Canoyer, yes.
Mr. Lemke,
Yes.
Mr. Santos,
no.
Jane Saucy, no.
What was the thing again?
yes to table, no to continue. Mr. Krogel,
I probably no.
Mr. Hill,
No.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
So it's, and again, I will abstain as a party to this. That's 5 yes votes and 4 no votes, so the motion to table carries.
Okay, no. Vote table, doesn't that require a 2/3 vote?
I don't believe so.
No? Okay.
Item 14, review of ZBA minutes. We received the ZBA minutes, are there any questions? Item 15, citizens' comments. Mr. Warner.
Warner Low Davis Road, I think it would be very easy since you're updating your bylaws today anyway, to just update your bylaws to say you have to have a seated member be an officer, and then you can go back and do your election.
Thank you, Mr. Warner.
Bylaws. It's coming here.
Yep. Any other citizens' comments? Okay, seeing none, item 16 is commissioner comments. This is something,
So why can't we do what he said?
because we already voted to approve the bylaws.
Okay. I didn't hear you say that, okay.
Thank you. Other comments?
Ray's got his hand
Mr.
up.
Williams.
First of all, I want to welcome these new members to the board and look forward to working with them. And I just want to say in front of everybody that was there last meeting, I brought up something about the box trailers and I was wrong. And when I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong. And I did call Tara and let her know that. And them Jamesons there, I thought for sure their house, I guess it had to have been somebody else's house that was on Sunset Hill Road, but I thought for sure it was them women. But that's besides the point. But that's it. Looking forward to working with the new members.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
I just need to remind the people who are going Wednesday, I'm going to register you tomorrow. So you don't have to worry about registering in. I'm calling out to deal here tomorrow. Just show up.
6:30 in Putnam, be there, she's registered.
You gonna have coffee?
Mr.
Delia might.
Who?
Delia.
Mr. Krogel, you have the floor.
All right, for future reference. Of all people, Rob Mann brought this up, I don't know if you've read it or not in his comments, but. When people come to us for approval of doing certain things on their property, sometimes deed restrictions. Forbid them from doing it. Is there any way that before we approve it, we check deed restrictions?
I know, I don't wanna make any more work
Oh,
for Cindy. Yeah, if it's not allowed.
Yeah, thank you.
Opening up. I think it needs
Would be an issue if they went to. Most of their property after they did everything. Then it'd be an issue if they couldn't sell it. So I can't imagine this owner of a piece of property not knowing.
Oh, I can't.
Oh, I,
Oh, you're right, not knowing, but trying to get around it.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. They tried to get around it.
Lived it, Jane.
Huh?
You lived it,
Thank you, Mr. Provo. That's-
not knowing your property.
Have the right to vote.
Water,
It's late.
come home.
Share that your
It's
way
like-
to
it's like a member to-
share Mr. Grove's comment about deed.
If you are
restrictions,
seated when the vote is
yeah,
taken.
to-
No, I
Just
don't, I don't have a phone, but I don't
Participate
know.
in any discussion,
Right.
but to vote, you have to be seated.
You know,
Look at
Even
these.
for the commission, not
you were in the
necessarily
building
the
office, did you ever check it out, Alan? The deed?
issue, you like it.
Most I check is
Piece of
the.
property that's
Yeah,
going
it's
up
get
for
turned.
sale. Has a
Member.
wide variety of lawyers looking at that particular.
Sure they
property.
do.
It just doesn't come to us unviewed. Well, let's put it that way.
But the property
commission.
card says a lot though. That's the first place I go to
Right.
when somebody asks me, is property card. So that does have a lot of information.
But it doesn't have the restrictions.
We could vote.
Could have gone.
I'll talk to you about it later.
But
Thank you.
when you draw the line.
Okay,
get it,
we on to the next one. I don't mean to stop you, but.
Thank you. I appreciate your reason. I will just add, as I began the meeting again, Ryan, Jason, welcome. I look forward to working with you. Our next meeting is December 27th, 2023. That is a Wednesday, right here at 7 p.m. Item 17,
Book club night.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
A second,
Second, third, and fourth.
seconded by
Yeah.
Mr. Hill. This meeting is adjourned at 9:17 p.m.
Hold on it,
Thank you.
Have a nice evening, everyone.
on adjournment.
You don't have to vote on adjournment.
I know.